So we already did the intro, but it was super fucking windy outside, and all you could hear was... So we're not doing that again. This is the first episode of the Triple R. We have an R theme. Ruminations and Revelations. Didn't know about that one until just now. Triple R. This is the Triple R. RR and R, which is...
Recreation, Reviews, and Relations.
That's right, because we're talking about hobbies, how they apply to your relationship, and then we review the things that we're currently doing as our hobbies. Mm-hmm. The next little bit of this is going to be me in the garage showing you guys our bikes, and then we're going to come back in and talk about it. We already filmed all this once. All right, guys, so first and foremost, I'm going to apologize about my garage. It is a disaster. We tried to do this outside yesterday and had issues with fire ants and crazy, terrible wind, so I had to redo this video a little bit. Peaches is inside getting ready because we have to podcast today, and I want to talk to you guys about the bikes and give you the rundown of what we have so that when you watch the rest of this video that we recorded inside yesterday, you'll get it. I apologize if this is all over the place, but this is unfortunately a necessary evil. So let's start with the Talaria bikes. This is my Talaria. The Talaria is the Sting R MX4. Upgrades that I have done to this bike, just so you guys know that it's not stock. Obviously, it's not stock. The review that we give on it is based off of stock, but I just want to point out the upgrades. I have the 21 to 18 wheel set from Unicycle kickstand and pegs. I have a Qi battery, 72 volt battery upgrade. I have a EBMX 9000 controller, grit shift light, 3-inch riser handlebars, Warp 9 neck and stem lock. I apologize about the noise. Ripon Moto 250 floating rotors, TRP brakes, and then a 54-inch tooth sprocket, 54-tooth sprocket. My bike is not stock. This bike will do about 55 miles an hour as is. Oh, I also updated upgraded the forks. Have the Faro EXT forks, and then the Faro, I don't know if you can see that EXT, whatever that shock is called in there. I did upgrade that. Now, her Talaria set up Supermoto. She's got 16-inch tires from, I honestly don't remember where I bought those. I want to say Milk Racing, but those are definitely not Milk Racing rims. They could be from Unicycle. I don't really remember. It's got a shorter kickstand, Amazon foot pegs. Both bikes have a Unicycle fake gator skin seat. She did get the upgraded bars and no stem lock. We didn't do anything. We didn't do a whole lot to hers. Hers is pretty much stock minus the tires and the handlebars and the seat. Didn't change out our brakes, didn't change out our sprocket. You can see the sprocket size is way tiny. I actually think that it did change the sprocket with the tires. I'm pretty sure that it did. All right, I'll flip this around. Later in the video, we're going to tell you why these are the superior bikes, so stay tuned for that. I love my Talaria, but we also bought Sur-rons. And I want to talk about the Sur-rons a little bit because she set her Sur-ron up for dirt riding. I set my Talaria up for dirt riding. I set my Sur-ron up for street riding, and her Talaria set up for street riding. They're not the same bike. The motors are different. The batteries are different. The BPMS is different. Like, there's a whole lot of things in the Talaria that makes it a far superior bike. But when I ordered the Talarias, I had went to Fort Myers and bought the Sur-rons the same day because I wasn't sure when the Talarias were going to be here. I wanted to be able to compare the two, make decisions, and then sell the ones I don't like because they've got a fairly stable market secondhand. And I know that I wanted to be able to test things out. We'll get into the details of that in the video in a little bit. Okay, now these are the Sur-ron bikes. Out of everything that we've done to all the bikes, because I've modded both of my bikes at this point, I modded her Sur-ron a little bit for off-road riding. We did the 21 to 18-inch wheel set. Did not change her sprocket. She still has a stock sprocket on her Sur-ron. But otherwise, we just changed the neck and put new handlebars and things like that. I'm going to get into that. But her Talaria and my Sur-ron are set up the same. My wheels are a little smaller by like an inch or two. I re-geared my Sur-ron, and I cannot, even with my upgraded controller, keep up with her Talaria, and her Talaria is stock. and not re-geared. So let's look at what we got. Start with the simple shit. Unicycle seats. This thing is grippy, makes doing wheelies way easy because you don't slide off the seat, and it's more comfortable. Highly recommend that. Love that. Upgraded handlebars, Protect taper grips, grit shift light. Milk Racing, I want to say 16-inch rims, but they might be 14s. I don't remember. I did upgrade the sprocket to a 54-2 sprocket so that it'll wheelie easier. And then Amazon foot pegs and kickstands and Amazon graphics. This is nothing fancy. I just like the yellow. I did recently swap out the controller to an EBMX 9000, and the next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to swap that battery out to a 72-volt battery so that I can get this thing up to 60 miles an hour, because 39 to 40 going downhill in the wind against your back is not it. Her Sur-ron, of course, is fancy purple. She has the 18 to 21 inch tires as well, same as my Talaria. Walmart, Amazon kickstand and pegs. Also a Luna seat. 3-inch riser bars, warp 9 neck, grit shift light. Her bike is pretty stock. We haven't gone crazy with her bikes because she's still learning how to ride. I can tell you that if you've never ridden an e-bike, you can start on either one of these because they have an eco and a sport mode. Her bike, the Sur-ron, has a whole lot less power than that Talaria. The Talaria will get that in sport mode, will bring that tire up every single time she hits the throttle as she's learning how to properly throttle the bike, which for a new rider can be kind of intimidating. However, as you learn to ride the bike, being able to pop that front tire up even an inch or two makes obstacles a whole lot easier. Hindsight 2020, before we get into the nitty gritty of the video, know that if I could do this all over again, I would have bought 4 Talarias. It would have negated the review thing. I wouldn't have been able to do the review process, which would have sucked because we have been planning this for months now. But I would have had a better street performing bike than I do because the Sur-ron is fucking garbage on the street. I know a lot of people are going to complain about me saying that, because there are diehard Sur-ron guys out there, but the Talaria is a superior bike, and it is $100 more. Out of everything that we've done, I have put probably an additional $5,000, maybe $6,000 into my Talaria, and I've put probably another $3,000 into my Sur-ron. Hers just got tires, and like my Talaria can keep up with both of her bikes because I upgraded the battery. My Sur-ron can't keep up with any of them. I fucking hate my Sur-ron because the tires being smaller made it slower. She has the Talaria as her street bike, so as we're riding, I can't keep up with her no matter how hard I try. I apologize about the cars going by, guys. This is the second time I've recorded this. I'm tired and I don't want to fucking do it again. Which says a lot about my professionalism, I guess, because this is what I do for a living, and I should take the extra time to pause and just cut that shit out. However, this is the first of these videos. This is a test run, and I don't need to make it perfect to know whether or not you guys dig what we're doing. There are other things that are coming, right? We're going to review those for the kids because they are automatic, and we want to be able to talk about off-roading and parenting and hobbies that involve your children and how that can affect the intimacy in your relationship. Not sexual intimacy, obviously, because your kids are there. Let's get your head out of the gutters, guys. We mean like actual dating intimacy and like doing things together. We're going to review this guy, the Can-Am 1000R XMR. That's a fucking beast. We've only ridden this for about an hour, and the entire time we were on it, Peaches was giggling like a fucking schoolgirl. And then we're going to review this guy. And we're going to talk about the difference between the two, and how when we're out just fucking around in the sand and having fun, this is a two-person thing that she can ride on her own even though it's a 1000R, and I can play on this and be a child and not have to worry about putting my wife at risk. So we have a lot of reviews. Fucking people. How dare them drive down my road. We have a couple of other reviews coming. We are going to be reviewing the Rev 1 bikes that we bought that are pedals. They're class 2. That'll do 30 miles an hour if you take it out of street mode, that we bought for city traffic, and we're going to take them to Sarasota and then do some downtown Sarasota riding just so that we can say whether or not we like them on sidewalks, how they perform, how the tires are, because they're like that fucking big. And we can give an honest opinion of that because we can go out and hit the beaches and do date night shit in Sarasota without having to worry about driving around downtown Sarasota and finding places to park. However, getting them there in the van is going to be a whole different problem. Lastly, Honda CRF 300 Rally. We're getting into adventure biking, and this is going to be something that is going to definitely make it to the channel. Peaches and I want to be able to talk about a lot of outdoor dating stuff because people get so caught up on just sitting on this couch scrolling on their phone that they're not doing things to really enjoy their life anymore, and dating kind of slows down in terms of like going and physically doing things when you've been together for a long time. So that's the point of all that. Back to the couch so you guys can get the rest of this video. So here's a little throwback to when we used to record on our couch doing live streams on TikTok.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
So the only things that I forgot to mention on the bikes is that on my Talaria and my Sur-ron, I recently upgraded to a 54 tooth sprocket on both bikes, and both bikes now have the EBMX 9000 controller on it. However, we tested both bikes completely stock in like his and hers categories, and she got to do the Talaria on the road, which I wish I would have done for me. And I did the Surron on the road. So let's talk about those first, because there is a noticeable power difference between the two bikes. Your bike, the Talaria, in eco mode will almost do a wheelie with me sitting on it. Yeah. It will do a wheelie with you sitting on it.
Correct.
In sport mode, it'll come right up, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Like 12 o'clock.
Yep. My Sur-ron with the Supermoto wheels on it does not come up in sport mode hardly at all, which is why I bought the EBMX 9 controller. I have to do it sitting still to get it to come up, and then I can hold it to go, and then with the new controller that I put on it, it's got more power to the back wheel because I was able to change the gear ratio. So both bikes got smaller tires, heavier rims. Your Talaria still outperforms the Sur-ron in a stock category before the re-gearing of the Sur-ron. With the re-gearing of the Sur-ron with the EBMX 9 controller, 9000 EBMX 9000 controller, I was able to change the gear ratio on the Sur-ron and make it perform like it did when I first bought it. However, her Talaria still outperforms my Sur-ron stock. With the change of tires and me not being able to re-gear her bike, we got a GPS mile per hour thing set up on the handlebars. Her bike's stock will still do 56 miles an hour. My Sur-ron will do 40. And that's, after all of the upgrades with the EBMX 9 controller and everything. It could be that my rims are a little bit heavier than hers. I think it could be, I think that's it. I do know that the Sur-ron has a different battery output than the Talaria does. The Talaria has a stronger battery and a stronger engine to begin with. But what is your overall experience on the Talaria?
It's very smooth.
Okay.
Not very... I don't know, it takes turns super easy. It does kick up super easy into the wheelie, which as an unexperienced novice rider, very terrifying until I got the hang of the throttle control. Brakes work really well. I do definitely prefer it for my street bike because I'm more comfortable going faster on the street than I am on the dirt.
Okay. Okay. So I have questions that I want to come back to, but I want to touch on that for a second. Being that you are a novice rider, for somebody who's just getting into this, do you think they should ride on the road or ride in the dirt?
It depends what you're looking to get out of your riding. I haven't been on a bike in 2 decades. So everything is I'm relearning my balance and how to ride on the bike and shift things and not fall. So I think, like I said, it depends on what you're looking to do. I need the experience in the dirt, so I have to be in the dirt.
Right.
But I also enjoy street riding, and that's where I'm getting my balance and my good turns and the tight turns and whatnot.
I'm going to say street because you've fallen in the dirt and you have not fallen on the road yet.
Yeah.
So I think that dirt brings a whole lot of different obstacles and problems that you have to overcome and problem solving in the moment. I really truly regret not making my Talaria the street bike the way that hers is, so that when we're riding street, I could keep up with her. I'm having to buy a different battery to make my Sur-ron compete with her Talaria. So let's go to the dirt bikes.
Okay.
Because in terms of dirt, my Talaria is heavily upgraded, and I already know that stock my Talaria was better than your Sur-ron, because when we rode, I was able to get 52 miles an hour on my Talaria stock, and you were in like 42 to 46 on your Sur-ron.
Yep.
I was able to go faster even at my body weight. So if she was to have ridden the Talaria stock the way that she was riding her Sur-ron, I'm thinking she probably would have gotten closer to 57, 58 miles an hour. I have extensively upgraded my Talaria. It's got a whole lot more low-end torque. I have multiple modes I can put it in because of the EBMX 9000 controller, and it will wheelie. It'll do everything that I want it to do, other than like all-day riding.
Bless you.
Other than all-day riding, which you're going to run into if you're on an electric anything, because those batteries aren't meant to run for 8, 9, 10 hours at a time. That's what gas bikes are for. You get a couple hours out of it and the battery's dead. So now that full disclosure on everything that I just laid out, I love my Talaria, and not because of the upgrades. The bike itself is just an overall better bike. Because we've been riding dirt, and we have ridden both stock, and I've ridden her bike as well as my bike through extreme mountain passes. Thought I was going to die a couple times. She actually did fall down a mountain on her bike. There are things that I can touch on both bikes for dirt that I'm going to just kind of talk about before we get into her opinion of her bike, of her Sur-ron, because her Sur-ron is the dirt bike. Her Sur-ron is very spongy. The back end bounces and compresses like you wouldn't believe. My Talaria did not do that because the spring on the Talaria is a 550-pound spring stock. But I've since upgraded my spring to even heavier. So, but we're talking stock bikes. My Talaria was not as spongy as her bike. Because of the low-end ability of the Talaria to get the wheelie up, it made going over trees and boulders a whole lot easier. It is heavier, which means if I had to get off the bike and move the bike around on the mountain, it sucked. I think those are the biggest things for me, because when you're riding single track trail in the mountains, you're not trying to do 50 miles an hour unless you're going down a hill and you're letting gravity pull you down. And even that's sketchy. So I think that apples to apples, I think that Talaria wins in this category as well. What do you think about your Sur-ron in the dirt? Because you've gotten to the point now where, actually, have you even ridden a Talaria in the dirt?
No.
Oh. Well, then just give your opinion on your Sur-ron dirt bike.
I like my Sur-ron.
how about modded versus not modded? Could you tell a difference with the tires?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely could tell a difference with the tires. The modded tires, I love them so much more. I can tell that it's gripping the dirt. I feel more secure on the bike. When I get squirrely, there's less fear of it sliding out from underneath me.
Okay. Her 18 and 21s, both bikes of our dirt bikes have the Shinko 244 tires on them, which are a dual sport tire. And the rear tire is like 3 to 3.5 inches, so it's got a whole lot of grip in the sand. Before we changed her tires out, she was falling quite a bit. The standard Sur-ron, I think, is an 18-inch tire or a 19-inch tire.
Very thin.
And it's thin, so it doesn't grip the way the bigger, fatter tires do. I guess I'm just going to talk about the dirt bikes real quick because I've ridden both, and then we can get into the relation aspect of our video.
Well, I have, before you get into that, I have noticed that climbing things, because before we modded the tires, it was very difficult for me to get up shit. Like, it wasn't wanting to climb. After we did the modded tires, when we were going through wherever in the Myakkahatchee, and I actually had to go up shit, there was very little me having to like struggle and push the bike up. It just did it.
Right. That's because of the 21-inch tire.
Yeah.
The larger tires make it easier to climb over things, especially going uphill. Going downhill, not so much, but there is a difference. I noticed with the Sur-ron, in order for me to go up a hill on the Sur-ron in eco mode, it would struggle. There were times that I would have no choice but to put it in sport mode to get up the hill. With the Talaria, I can ride eco mode the entire time and still make it up every single hill without having to go into sport mode. Now that I've modded my bike, I haven't taken it out of eco mode, period. I keep it on Street 1 because of the settings of the new EBMX 9 controller that's on there. And it outperforms every bike that we have. And we have 5 e-bikes total that are not pedal bikes. We do have Rev 1 reviews coming soon. We're going to talk about that too. But so in comparison, because I've done both, I really just think that the Talaria MX4 is a all-around better bike. It's the same cost. I think you're going to pay maybe $100 more for the Talaria. But out of everything that we've ridden and everything that we've done in like the aftermarket stuff even, it outperforms.
Out of the 2 bikes, the Talaria is my favorite.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Would you want to upgrade your Sur-ron the way that I've upgraded my Talaria to see if you would?
Maybe.
Because we could put an EB Max 9 controller on that and then compare them to the Sur-ron, put a 72-volt battery in it.
Yeah.
And then do like drag tests and shit to see. Because once the controllers are in there and the batteries are even, it should be the same bike. It's not, though, because the motors are different. So knowing what I know now, after everything that we've done, especially with all the money that we've spent, if I could do it all over again, I would not buy a Sur-ron. I would buy Talaria all the way across the board for everything that we've got going. And then I guess I would go from there. I also think that I want to buy a real dirt bike for Emoto. And it's going to either be a Sur-ron Ultra B or a Stark Varg, but those are very expensive. And
what's Emoto?
It's like a real dirt bike instead of the little 125s or like a 250 or a 450.
Okay.
It's much bigger. It would be I'm going to go play.
What's the rally then?
The rally is for adventure bikes. That's a whole different discussion. That's a whole different episode of the Triple R.
Okay.
I also bought a Honda CRF 300 rally that I'm going to teach her how to use the clutch on so that we can start doing adventure stuff, like real adventure stuff, like going out into the middle of nowhere and camping in the mountains, and like then we can have even more review stuff and more fun. But the whole point of that is the relationship aspect and how we can find hobbies to make time to do things that we both enjoy. So let's move to that, because that was a good segue. Good job. As you guys know with the podcast, we don't have a lot of free time. Peaches and I are always working. Mm-hmm. It's editing, it's dealing with people, managers, it's dealing with the producers, dealing with content, metrics, and all of that shit. We don't have a lot of free time. And all of this started because we were watching e-bikes on YouTube, and our son got really into it.
Yeah.
And then we really started watching it, and I was like, hey, if we buy these, would you be willing to ride them with me? And you were like, hell yeah. So how has that worked out for you in terms of relationship? Do you feel like it's brought us closer?
I do. I do feel like it's brought us closer. It's quality time in a way I never thought I would experience quality time with somebody.
How so?
Badass boy shit.
We're doing Mad Max shit around here.
Yeah. I am somebody who was reading books and going on nature walks in my childhood, and into my adulthood it was just work, children, and depression. So this is definitely something I never thought that I would be doing. I've always wanted to do it. I thought it was so cool. I thought people were so dope doing jumps and tricks and jumping off the bike and getting back on the bike in the midair. It's neat. I want tricks.
You want to do tricks?
Yeah. What is it? Stunting? That's what they call it. Yeah, I want to
start stunting.
I want to start stunting. And now that's coming into fruition, and I'm getting to see a different side of you in all of it.
How so?
I get to imagine what you were like when you were a boy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So some of the other things that we bought that you guys should know about is that we bought the Cordo, the Cordo Edge headsets so that we could communicate while we're riding, which has allowed us to have conversations in stressful scenarios where she's panicking about going down a hill or freaking out on a mountainside. And it's allowed me to support her through her fear of doing things audibly, even though I may not be able to see what she's doing because she might be behind me, or because there's a distance. You know, maybe I've already gone up. I don't have to scream and yell. I can just talk to her because she's able to hear. How has that affected our relationship?
Oh my gosh, it's a whole new level of my husband's got me.
Yeah?
Yeah. You're the calmness in the storm. And you help center me. I have done things on that bike that I have stood there and said, I can't do this. And you're like, you can do this. And I was like, he said I can do it. And I just go. And I'm like, holy shit, I did it.
Yeah. There was a couple of times where she was like, I could hear her sobbing in her helmet because she's a crier. We know she's a crier. But she was crying in her helmet. And I'm like, are you okay? And you were like, no, but I'm okay. I'm going to go. And like, you were having your doubts, and like I was able to basically talk you into a calm, you're doing good, you've got this, okay, here's an obstacle, this is how we're going to get through it, stay to the left, throttle here. And it was basically allowing me to coach you, and I feel like that created trust fall.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't worry, I'm going to catch you kind of thing, because I'm able to talk you through things, lean, throttle.
I'm not going to cry.
Right, because we had that.
Yeah.
And then for my side of that, like, I would jump this far off the ground, and she'd be like, baby, you looked so cool. Which, strokes my ego a little bit, because every man wants to look cool in front of his woman. I don't care how old you are. It starts as a little kid where we start showing off, and it doesn't stop. We become Stewie in our mind. Look what I can do. Right? But to be able to let her see that side of me where I am doing stupid shit and having fun and not falling down.
You're so good at it.
I feel like it's created that one more thing that we get to go do with each other. So now when we have dates, we don't have to just go to dinner or a movie. We can load those bikes into the van and drive out to a national park and just drive around. Or we can rip up and down the side roads or back roads through here.
I like going to Africa.
Yeah.
That was fun. I stood up and went over bumps and whatnot and didn't fall.
Yeah. To be clear, we've never actually gone to Africa. There is a small place in the area that we live that is a probably 7 or 8 acre lot that's got a giant hill in the middle of it, and the locals here refer to it as Africa. I have no idea why. That's what I was told it's called, so that's what we call it. But she was able to ride hills there, and if you live in Florida, there's not a lot of them, especially near the beaches.
Yeah.
So she was able to hill climb and go down and work on mud and things like that. And I think for me, that was probably one of the better days that we've had riding, because it's super easy for me, but those technical sugar sands and the hill climbs and letting you stand as you're going through whoops and things like that is cool. What I was going to say was, when it comes to the date thing, like, we can go and rip around and do those things, and we're still having conversations like we would if we were at a dinner table.
Yeah.
Because we can ride and have conversations about the podcast or about relationships or about our life or about the kids. It doesn't matter if we're 50 feet ahead of each other, because we have the Cardo Edge mics attached to our helmets. All in all, because I like outdoor dirt biking kind of things, and I know that she enjoys it, it is a go-to for me when I want to suggest a date. Like, hey, it's Sunday, or Saturday morning, or a Wednesday afternoon when we don't have anything going on. Instead of going, hey, let's go get a burger, I can load these things in the van and we can go ride, or just go, hey, let's ride to the studio, because our studio is close enough to the house that we can ride over there and fill shirt orders and then ride back, or whatever the case may be. But it gives us an intimate time together. So on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of like relationship date shit, where would you rate this?
I would say like a 9.
Yeah? That high, huh?
Yeah. 10 would be I'm super confident on the bike and I'm not really crying much anymore on my helmet.
Okay, so then so then your lack of 10 is not because of the bike and the fun of it, it's the fear of it. So it's a you thing. Yeah,
I feel like I ruin moments sometimes.
Why?
Because I'm self-conscious. And I know that crying is a hard thing for you.
It is.
And I feel like that dampers moments sometimes, but like after I complete something, we both get to celebrate it, and that's neat.
We do get to celebrate it.
Yeah.
So my only gripe in the dirt bike riding thing is my level of riding is so much higher than hers. And I want to do shit that is super dangerous, that is very dangerous for her. So there's got to be a balance of like, okay, if we go out today, I know that I can't ride single track mountain bike trails and try to jump rivers and shit, because she's not doing that. I'm not doing that either, but I will ride those trails until we get to something extreme and then just cut off the trail and come back to it. But we're getting to the point that she can do that. So that's my only gripe with like us riding together. And it's not really that big of a gripe, because I would rather go out for 2 hours and ride around sand with no jumps and no crazy anything and not be in the house. So it negates that need to do super crazy dangerous shit. Although eventually I will have a friend locally who has e-bikes that will do super dangerous stupid shit with me, and I can go get that out of my system until I hurt myself, and then we can go back to riding like easy, because I'll be injured and I won't have a choice. That's where you'll catch up to me.
Yeah. If my body ever heals.
Yeah, she hurt her ankle not riding the bikes.
Yeah.
Jordan actually bought a Sur-ron, so he will be doing all of that stuff when he is healed. He hurt his ankle doing wheelies, so
he did. I'm excited for you to have someone to do super dangerous shit with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the date thing, I'm going to go as far as to give it an 8. The only reason why I'm not rating it higher is because we can't touch each other a lot while we're riding. So
you smack my butt.
Right, but it removes the physical like intimacy of it all, because I can't, like, unless we stop somewhere and we have a picnic, I can't like hold your hand I will ride by and smack her ass really fast while we're riding.
I love it.
But I can't be like, right now our legs are touching. You guys can't see it off camera, but we're very much touching each other. And we are very intimate, physically touch people. So like when we're watching TV at night, her feet are on my lap and I'm holding her feet. So that's why I rank it as low as I did. If it wasn't for that physical aspect and the need for me to constantly be touching you in some way or form, I would say it would be a 10.
Yeah.
Because that is one of my favorite things to do. Riding those e-bikes are a fucking blast.
It is really fun.
Are there any cons to what we're doing?
The probability of seriously injuring ourselves.
You mean you?
I don't think you're above hurting yourself. I think
right.
your lack of fear in dangerous things is
a problem.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I'm fully aware. I know that I'm not invincible.
yeah.
But I also don't think that I ride outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So
Your comfort zone is absolutely terrifying to me.
Yeah?
Absolutely terrifying to me.
So the fear of danger is the only thing. So then in that case, you would recommend riding gear, helmet, boots,
Yeah.
all of that shit. Yeah? Okay. We should take the e-bikes, the pedal bikes, the Rev 1 bikes somewhere into a city, maybe Sarasota, downtown Sarasota, and park. And then do those next so that we can talk about those, because those are actually street legal.
I like those bikes.
So
Makes me feel like Captain America.
Oh, because of the way they look?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. That's it. That's our Surron and Talaria review. We will, if you guys haven't seen it yet, there is content on the To Be Better Life account. I'm not sure which account we're going to post this on. But if you have not seen the To Be Better Life account, there is footage of us riding the bikes there. There's footage of us working on the bikes there so that you guys can kind of see the things that are going on. I'm not sure if I'm going to integrate the two channels, but if I do end up integrating the two channels and you guys are seeing this on the main channel, just know that we will be posting regular life content on the main channel at that point moving forward. But we haven't decided yet because we are now in season 2 of the To Be Better podcast.
That's crazy.
Isn't it?
Oh, wow, I did it.
AJ put together a video of us doing the intro, like episode 15, and you're like, wow, that's crazy. Episode 25, that's crazy. Episode 50, that's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's it, guys. I don't have anything else to talk about with this one, do you?
Mm-mm. I'm yawning. My jaw dislocates every time I yawn.
I'm going to throw out a couple of things real quick about the modifications of the bike. This is bonus content. Bonus content for the modifications on the bike. I recommend the foot pegs. Definitely switching out the foot pegs because the other ones are very thin and there's no grip to them. So if you're going to buy these e-bikes, get the foot pegs. They're cheap on Amazon. The tire swaps are amazing. I highly recommend a 18 to 21 because it gives you a fatter, shorter back tire and a bigger front tire for climbing if you're going to ride off-road. And then if you want to really adjust the power, some of these bikes can get up over 100 miles an hour if you really mess with the throttle and the motors and the batteries and the controllers and all that shit. So if you're going to get into that, just know that there is a huge aftermarket for it. It becomes highly addictive. But when you modify a bike, it's yours. It doesn't look like anybody else's. You've made the bike your own. You've programmed it to run the way you want it to run. And it makes it a whole enjoyable thing, which adds a whole nother layer to the relationship thing. If you have a woman who likes to get dirty and doesn't have nails and actually enjoys working with their hands, then you guys could actually go out there and work on your bikes together and they could do in the modding thing. All the things that are done to her bike, me and my cousin did because
I wasn't invited.
You were.
No.
You could have hung out with us out there and done all that shit. It's really me. It lets me feel like I'm doing something cool for my woman by modding her bike out. But so are you saying that you want to do any future mods? If we buy the controller and the extra battery, would you do it?
Yeah, I would try.
Oh man. There's content. That's coming. I'm going to order that shit now. Because we can flip your bike upside down and you can bop, 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 bop.
Let's go. If you want it, you can get it. Let me know.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.